Hi, welcome back to the science programme. We asked the public of Maastricht which scientific questions they would like answered. We had a great question about the environment. We were asked which are better for the environment, electric cars or petrol cars? And this might look like a simple answer. Surely electric cars are better, but we first need to look at what exactly we mean by and how to measure better. Early scientific studies have focused on the emissions from the car. Car manufacturers have also been keen to promote zero emissions cars. But if you live in a city full of petrol cars, with their exhaust pipes piping smelly fumes to your nose, you could say, it's simple. The better car uses a battery. My respiratory problems or fears will be a thing of the past if only everybody used an electric car just like me. Take a look at and smell all of this pollution next to our schools, offices, shops, houses. Electric cars will stop all of that. And you'd be right. But how about if we changed what is important to us? How about if we measure what is better by considering the environmental impact a car has along its lifetime, even before it reaches the car dealership? We must now measure the pollution from the production of electricity required to fill the battery. We must consider any toxic materials that a battery is made from. How long will the battery be used for and how will it be disposed of? Can it be recycled? These types of questions enable a fairer comparison of petrol and electric cars. Currently, many scientists are attempting to answer these questions, but there is a lot of disagreement. One way scientists are addressing the problems raised is through a technique called life cycle assessment, or LCA. LCA aims to measure and assign a number or quantify each stage of the life cycle. This can be done for petrol cars and electric cars, and if you add up all of the numbers from each stage of the life cycle, you can find the total environmental impact and then see which one is higher. So which do you think has a higher environmental impact? Is it petrol cars or is it battery cars? Before we answer this, let's take a look at the 4 ways by which we can measure the impact of the car on the environment. So during their life cycle, cars could cause climate change by increasing CO2 in the atmosphere. Cars could cause respiratory problems. They could deplete natural mineral resources, and they could increase acidification. So now let's look at the well-to-tank stage of the life cycle assessment. With petrol cars, we need to find the oil, produce petrol from the oil, transport the petrol to the petrol station, put the petrol in the car. With battery cars, we need to produce electricity. We need to store the electricity. We need to make the battery. We need to transfer the electricity to your home. We need to charge the battery in your car. The impact of each of these on the environment will change depending on where in the world you live. Does your country produce its own oil, or must this be imported? Is the petrol production process well managed? How is the wastewater treated, for example? How are the rivers and surrounding ecosystems affected by the discharge? And for the battery cars, is your house supplied with electricity from fossil, nuclear or renewable resources? If you live in Norway, for example, most of your electricity comes from hydroelectric power stations. But if you live in the UK, most of your energy comes from fossil fuels. So depending on where you live, the score of each of the 4 mentioned ways to impact the environment will change. If we move now to the use stage of the car, we're here essentially talking about exhaust pipe emissions from the vehicle. And here it is clear that a purely electric car will have 0 emissions, whereas a purely petrol car will emit CO2 and other pollutants. But considerations must also be made. Is the car a petrol battery hybrid? What is the age and size of the petrol car? And which manufacturer made the engine? In general, larger, older cars will have more emissions than smaller, newer cars. The score for the life cycle analysis is therefore dependent on the type and the manufacturer of the car. Lastly, we must consider end of life. Batteries must be replaced. Old batteries must be recycled. The lifetime of a battery depends on how it is made and how it is used. Batteries are made of various materials. They can be made of lithium, nickel, or lead. All of them deplete the natural mineral resources. But recycling can reduce this depletion significantly. But some batteries are more easily recycled than others. We were asked by the Maastricht public if electric cars are better than petrol cars. This is also a question of policymakers and governments all around the world. Due to differences in environmental impact per location around the world, difficulties in measurement, variation in often secret technology per manufacturer, and continuing development of the technology, there is currently disagreement and debate among scientists. However, the choice is essentially yours. If you care mostly about keeping pollution away from your town or from your city, then a battery car is the way to go. But clean city air comes with a high price. Elsewhere, if you care about the global environment and you're from a country that relies largely on fossil fuels to produce electricity, there is very little difference between a petrol car and an electric car in their potential to cause climate change. If you now consider acidification and depletion of natural mineral resources that comes with electric cars, you're better off with a petrol car. In fact, if you are really concerned about the environment and you're thinking of buying a hybrid SUV instead of a petrol one, don't. Just buy a smaller car. Consider ride sharing with your neighbours or colleagues, and while you're on a good streak, petition your government to stop burning fossil fuels. Now, let us know what you think in the comments below. And as always, smash the like button if you have enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe because it will help others to find this video too. Thanks for watching and goodbye.